Hey, do you feel that burn? No, it's not a political rally for Burney Sanders. It's the mindful protest coming from inside your body asking you to switch from methylene chloride to something kinder on you and your employees. We take a deep dive into how eco-friendly strippers work from Miss B17e herself, Valeri Lennon. She's bringing you new updates on their company and introduces you to the next big thing in pain-free stripping. She's got me convinced this is our next move. How about you? Get ready to level up your powder coater game.
Welcome to the Powder Coater podcast. I'm your co-host, Kim Scott. We are the voice of custom coating, and if you don't know by now, we interview influencers, talk about industry, and interview people that have a stake in the game here so that you can learn and grow your business. So I would like to introduce a repeat guest, actually show sponsor, and I'm happy to have her back because we have all new stuff to talk about. Miss Benco herself, Valeri Lennon. And Valeri, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So Valeri, before we get going, I want to just stop and do a little bit of housekeeping and just share with our listeners that we have met another milestone just this week. I have so much to be thankful for, grateful for, to have you guys show your support in this way. But we actually just made 10 patron supporters this week. I didn't even think we'd get one. So we have Aaron Zigbee from Powderworks, Daniel Royer, he's new, Chris Secor from Jester Cycle Powder Coating. Thank you, Chris. Here's your custom coater shout out. Carlos Beca, Donnie Powell from Anchorage Custom Powder Coatings, Nate's Powder Coating, Kevin Umfreyville from the Mobile Blaster, and of course our very own Reno King, and Dale, Dale from Down Under. He's always listening to the show. Go check him out on episode 22. Very wonderful man, and it's a really interesting show if you want to learn how other coaters are doing in other countries. Of course, Reno King was just featured on the show a couple weeks ago. He's been on the show before, and crossover, pigments, tech, and side hustles. I love that. We are also doing a side hustle here for our powder coating industry just to kind of help with cash flow even more. Valeri, as you know, she came on episode 9 last year. She was an early supporter of the show. So thank you, Valeri. We needed support back then, that's for sure. And your continuing support as well as a sponsor of the show. Now we're going to get into this e-product a little bit more, and then share some other news that you have regarding to your expansion in your business and what you're offering. So, Valeri, tell us how you got into the business and like your background and everything like that, how you came to be working for for B17 and Benco.
I came to Benco about 10 years ago. When the companies Best Way and Benco merged, I came to Tennessee to run the business, to merge the businesses, and to create a bigger, better brand. And we've been going very strong. Our products are phenomenal. Benny Bixaman, the founder of Benco 40 years ago, was a phenomenal chemical engineer. And he still is, I still have access to him. I call Yoda every once in a while and ask him particular questions. But since then, we've grown a lot. Our metal business has grown, our metal stripping business has grown enormously with B17. And as you know, most of our products have been methylene chloride based products throughout the years. And it has come over the last few years that there's a push against methylene chloride based products, which is disappointing in the fact that they're extremely effective. Your exposure to the chemical is minimal in comparison to being exposed to other chemicals that are more detrimental for you. And as long as you treat it properly and use your care and caution in your special protective gear, you do well with it. But there's franchise operations, there's larger companies that will not allow methylene chloride to be in their realm. And we developed the B17e Eco Strip. And that is a product that is turning out to be even better than we had thought it was going to be. It needs to be heated to about 180 degrees, and it works very effectively by submerging, it's typically wheel business, submerging your wheels in the stripper. It will strip in about an hour, and some of the most stubborn coatings will strip in about 3 hours. And there are even some that are stubborn, and all you have to do is turn your temp up to about 200. But in selling that product, we determined that it was important to come up with a heated tank, because it's not easy to heat chemicals. You can't have direct heat. You want to minimize your electrical output, and so many things. So a fabulous fabricator that spent a good 6 months coming up with prototypes, the perfect tank, and we've landed on a great tank. The basic standard tank fits 4 to 6 wheels, depending on their size. It's heavily insulated, and it's a huge cost savings on the electrical. I know that there's some competitor tanks out there that draw a lot of power, and a couple of the converts, as I'd like to call them, have found that they've saved an enormous amount in electricity, because we work off of a 30 amp circuit, single phase, and it's extremely effective. And because the tank is built so well and the insulation is so effective, you only lose about 10 degrees overnight if you turn it off. But because the heating element is submerged and it's an indirect heat, it has a thermostat on it, and you can set the thermostat and just let it go. So it just stays at a steady temp.
Yeah.
And people are finding it to be a lifesaver for them. They call it their team player, and it lasts a long time. You don't have any evaporation issues like you do with B17. As you know, B17, although it's extremely effective, if you're in really warm climates, and you will find that you lose some product. Although you can put a water seal on B17. I don't know if some people know that, but you have to have a large tank.
Right.
Because if your ratio to water to the chemical is too great, then you're going to start losing some of your acids.
Here's a message from today's sponsor.
Roscoe here from Maui Powder Works. We've been providing customers with high-end custom coatings for over 20 years. We love the powder coating business. Making auto parts, patio furniture, and stuff beautiful for our customers is the fun part. As you know, the hardest part of any job is getting parts prepped for finishing. At times, this means removing tough industrial OEM coatings, which can take hours, if not days, of chemical stripping and sandblasting. Our business was revolutionized when we discovered the great strippers from Benco Sales. Their customer service folks asked the right questions and recommended a stripper tailored for our needs. Give them a call today at 1-800-632-3626.
Get 10% off any B17 products when you mention Roscoe.
Keeping that cap on and having that cap on is for us really important. Ross doesn't normally, he's never complained about evaporation and stuff. But I know he's very mindful and makes sure that when he's pulling something out that it completely tries to drip off. We don't have anything overhanging. So I think that is really critical, especially some of these rims are so wide and so heavy, so big. That's primarily what we're stripping most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to have, to have a tank that actually could be a lot bigger so that you could do some of the more, outside of wheels, you could actually maybe put a chair or some kind of
Right.
other kind of part or piece in there.
And
Yeah.
and we will have, actually, we are working on a tank right now for B17 people that'll have its own hoist system attached to it. So your exposure to the chemical is minimal.
Yeah, most of them are just kind of either doing they're making their own hoist or
Right.
whatever, but it would be nice to have something that's specifically designed. Was this tank?
If you go to, yes, if you go to Instagram, okay, there we go. You'll see the tank right there.
Yeah.
That is the EcoStrip tank.
Oh,
And
that is, okay.
that is the EcoStrip tank. You can see the heating element at the bottom. It's indirect heat coming from the bottom. The
Mhm.
rack is set above that. There we are. And as you can see, there's some clasps that hold it down. We've got a seal that holds in the heat. There's an electrical box on the outside with an emergency switch off, with your 30 amp.
Okay.
The top is an easy open. It has hinge lift assist in it. And so it's very easy. I can open it one-handed.
Right.
And it's very easy to lift. And then inside is the rack. And there is a center point to hook. Oh, that's the rinse tank.
Oh, that's different. Okay.
Yeah, that's the rinse. So in the center is the rack that the center point to hold for a hoist to grab it and pull it out. And you can either pull it out, 3/4 of the way and then lift the wheels out and put them on your rinse table. Some people don't want to move that, or you can take the whole thing out and move it to a rinse table, depending on your hoist mechanism.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have their own hoists, but in the future, we're developing some hoists that will attach to this, and that you can have a boom that swings out and you can move your rack around.
Yeah, this is cool too. This is where, what is this? This is the drain?
That's the heating element.
Oh, that's the
Here,
heating
that's
element.
heating element.
Okay.
So you unscrew the front of that and you can set your thermostat.
Okay.
So when you get it, you fill it to, you put your wheels in it, fill the stripper to the top of the wheels, so you know how much you need to have in there. Then you start your thermostat, and you can take the wheels out again, but you don't want to start the thermostat without having stripper in it. And you can set it to 180 to 200. I would start at 180, and it takes a few hours to heat up. And you'll find, as you use it, you'll find the best temperature. 180 to 200 is optimal. And we're finding that the more stubborn strippers require 200 degrees. But again, you're not pulling a lot of amps. You're not increasing your electricity bill. We had one person that switched to our tank for his business, and he said he was saving almost $1,000 a month in electricity.
Wow.
And that's what Benco wants to be the
Right.
answer, wants to be the team player. We want to help you make money, because there's so many costs in running a business. So anywhere you can be more efficient and have some cost savings, it really speaks to the bottom line.
Well, I'll tell you, when we looked at this earlier, we were just kind of getting a game plan on this podcast and what we were going to cover. But now that I'm looking at this tank a little bit more, I'm seeing some very interesting details that to me are makes me realize that you put a lot of thought into not just making this a nice looking design for a tank. Okay, so you got this fold over kind of a drip. It's not really a drip container or anything, but it's nice that this kind of folds over so that if a drip does happen or comes by, you can actually have it just drip over instead of drip into behind the stainless, or you know what I mean? Like it doesn't get stuck.
Right. Well, and it's all sealed on top.
Right.
So
right.
we tried to minimize any point of entry for moisture, because the inner tank is steel and it's jacketed with stainless with 2 inches of insulation around the whole thing, and then 4 inches of insulation on the top.
Mm-hmm.
We also had heard complaints about people not being able to move their tank in their facility.
Yes, that was the other thing I was going to say right here.
Yeah, we lifted it so that you could get a forklift under it, a pallet jack, and move it around where you need it.
Yeah.
And that made a big difference. And then as far as the heating element is concerned, it comes with a cord that comes out of the power box. And then you'll just have to have an electrician hook it up to your 30 amp. And since everybody's region is different, it wasn't like we could supply a plug or anything like that. We just had to supply the wires. And it's a pretty simple installation.
Yes, I love this. I think it's great. And I think you've also considered, and let's look at some more pictures here. So this is the rinse tank. So you would put the wheel on there. This is what we need. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of the mess with it all, because right now we're just using a simple utility and it's too small. Like it was just something bought at Home Depot. It's just a utility sink, you know, and we need something more specific to our needs.
Well, what's nice about the EcoStrip, you take your wheel out of this tank and, you know, as always, so that you don't lose product, allow your stripper to drip back into your strip tank. Then you move it to this table and you can rinse it with the high pressure rinse. Now with B17, the original B17, the methylene chloride based product, you need a secondary water, you needed a secondary tank for your water bath.
Yeah.
Because the purpose of that water bath is to neutralize any acids. And so that's a very important step before you rinse, because then you're going to have better results. You're going to have, it's safer for the environment and everything else.
In the video that we're going to watch, and this back thing is so cool because, you know, you do get splatter every now and then and stuff like that too. Okay, what's this? Okay, so that's
Here's your rack.
The rack that goes in and
That's
out.
your rack. So people that do a lot of wheels, the wheels fit right in there. You can put them, you can lie them down, stand them up. I suggest standing them up.
Right.
But you can stand them up in rows like Oreo cookies, but also because it has a basket type bottom, it has an expanded metal bottom for people that are doing small parts, whether they're working on motorcycles, ATVs, anything like that, you can put it in there and you're not going to lose it in your tank. And it fits so securely that it's not like it could fall off the side and get caught in the tank at all.
Right. You know, that is so critical. And I hope people will be able to see this on the screen, because this kind of really gets the visual going for you on your next setup, or changing or switching up your setup for this system to, you know, if you've been stripping for a while, you know, some of the consequences to using the methylene chloride, but this really could be a new way to really get, or at least, you know, maybe become your new way of doing things. You can still have the regular B17, you know, set up with the container, the yellow container. I always forget the name of these things.
The overpack drums.
Yeah, the overpack drums. That's what they're called.
I don't think you'll ever lose the need to have some B17 on hand with an overpack drum, just because sometimes there's impossible things.
Right. Exactly.
And you can't get around it. But you know, and we just bought another building because we've been growing so much, and it's just down the street, and we're going to have the fabrication shop in there, and that will enable us to offer alternatives for the rack. You know, we're going to have options for people. We have our standard tank, and then we've made some bigger tanks. We made one that was about 90 inches long, and that turned out great. I don't have oh yeah, I do have an image. Scroll down a little bit. That one, that was the long one.
Oh, here's a better video of the piece we were just looking at.
There's the ease in opening up that top.
Yeah, that's nice. And it's solid. It's like a freezer type top, you know, commercial freezer type top. Yeah.
All right, and then the next image, there's a tank with a rack in front of it. The next one down, I believe.
Okay, this one. Okay, yeah.
And that was the extra large tank, and that was the extra large rack.
Okay.
And the The first image that we looked at with the Benco name, that was the big beam that went across and hooked onto the bottom of that tank to pull it out. It was in 2 pieces. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Here's a message from today's sponsor.
Do you know chemical strippers from Benco Sales reduced our prep time by up to 80%? We chose Benco B17 and have been using it now for 5 years. We were surprised at how effortless it removed finishes from literally anything we put into it. Removal takes minutes, not hours. Several suppliers over the years have told us they have something as good as B17, but don't believe it. There's a reason the name B17 is universally applied for those claiming to have fast strippers. Buy it by name and available only by Benco Sales. B17 is the industry benchmark by which every other stripper is compared. Accept no substitute. Get started today by going to bencosales.com. BENCO sales.com.
Say Roscoe sent you for 10% off B17.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
that one.
Yeah.
And they're very strong. So as I was saying, with our new building, we'll be able to offer many options and give people choices on their rack system or their lift system or their hoist. And if they require venting or hoods that go with their system, we can easily do that as well. Every town has different regulations on what they need. So a lot of that is so custom that we don't offer it unless it's, we sit down with our fabricator and we have a meeting, and it's not something that the client can get a more cost-effective price from an HVAC person. It needs to be explored because we're not in it to build a huge price tag. We're in it to help somebody have an efficient business that doesn't break the bank.
Right, exactly. So can you talk about the hoists? Like what kind of, are they the manual kind, or are they electronic, or how are you?
You can do either one. We do have an electronic one that would be set on an I-beam on top, with a gantry system and an I-beam, and that can be pulled out. The gantry system can be on wheels. So there are many options to do that, and I'll have those probably in the next 60 days.
Yeah. Okay, good. We'll definitely share us an update or something. I can put it in our coder news. Or you can just pop in and come on back. One of the things we kind of touched on episode 9, the first time he came on, which is everything you need to know about stripper. It is by far one of the most downloaded shows we've ever done on the podcast. It continues to be one of the, it continues to generate clicks and downloads and stuff like that, because it is such just such a need to know kind of thing, especially if you're getting into this business, or maybe you've been in it and you're ready to, you want to stop just doing all blasting and want to kind of help your blasting out and make it easier by stripping things first. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, when, you're dealing with small spaces, because when guys are just getting started, they may not have the size unit or can afford the size unit that they really need for their business. So they have to really plan out and make sure that their square footage is, that they've designated enough space for everything, especially when choosing a new location. So I want to talk to you about, obviously with an overpack drum, you don't need that much space. With this new tank and E-strip situation, what kind of, space or minimal or maximum space would you need to kind of get it going? How much space do you need for something like this? I mean, I know tank sizes vary, but
Right, take the standard tank. The standard tank is going to take up about a 75-inch long space. Let's call it a 42-inch wide or, from front to back. And it's about 42 inches tall. It's going to require that much space, at least. And then you'll need to be able to work around it. So depending on how you have a rinse situation, the rinse table is just a little bit smaller, obviously, not quite as deep, but it just depends on how you set yourself up. And we're happy to help anybody that has questions. We're thinking about, well, actually, we're going to the SEMA show, and I'm anxious to collect thoughts and information because I think some people would like to have a 2-wheel tank, a little square one.
Yeah.
That would be easy to work with. So we're looking at that option as well. But there were so many demands for just, let's do at least 4 wheels at a time so we can get them done situation that's where we went. But there's something we kind of skipped over. We're so good at jumping around. I want to talk about the sludge in the B17E. It is
yes,
far
that
different.
that was shocking to me. So yes, go ahead, talk about that.
It is far different than the sludge that you create with B17. B17, it delaminates the coating from the substrate and it leaves it in sheets.
Right.
This, all it does is it creates a murkiness in your stripper. And you will notice after you strip so many wheels that your level is coming up, but it's the murkiness in there. So we suggest, because what happens is that then coats the bottom where the heat is transferring, is that you close your tank, you shut your tank down and let it cool off. And then you remove the good stripper from the top with a pump, put it in a secondary container, or the original drums it came in.
Okay.
Let it sit there, and then you can remove your sludge. We have on the opposite side of the heater, there are 2 big 2-inch valves that you can scrape your sludge out and put it into trays and then allow it to dry. And then once you get that cleaned out, close it all up again, put your stripper, your good stripper that you had siphoned off the top, put that back in, and then top it off, replenish more product. Same thing, just replenish, turn it on again. And you will notice that the effectiveness goes up considerably because, as there's more sludge, you kind of lose time. It takes a little bit longer to strip and a little longer to strip. And then we're well aware of the fact that at those temperatures, you are going to there's going to be some fallout of some of the chemical. That's just the nature of the chemical. So we do have a booster additive that you just call us and you say, this is what's happening to my machine. I cleaned it out. I did what you told me, but it's still not up to where I want it to be. And then all we have to do is send you out a 5-gallon, and it's a ratio of 10%.
Okay.
And that's
So it's
it.
just an additional additive that you can do to boost it.
Yes.
That's kind of like maintaining like a pool. If you've ever maintained a pool, it's kind of like you always have to. Is there any other kind of testing? I know with some other competitor products and stuff that are out on the market, there's a lot of like chemical level testing or chemical, you know what I'm saying? Like they have to constantly check that. Do you have to do any of that in the interim, or is it just that you realize that it's taking a little longer to strip?
It's slowing down. When it's slowing down, it's time to clean it and then replenish. And if it's still not as fast as you want it to be, but I'd say 60% of the people say it is, it goes right back up to normal.
Yeah.
Then we send the
there's not really any kind of additional.
There's really no need
testing.
to. We understand what chemicals are in there. We understand what's going to fall out after a certain time at 180 to 200. So there's no need to test it because we've got a pretty clear indication of what it needs based on the chemist's knowledge. And I think that's a benefit due to the fact that they don't have to wait. They don't have to send their sample out. They don't have to wait for a reply. They don't have to wait because, time is money. You got to keep going.
Hey guys, we never thought the Powder Coder podcast would take off as well as it has. The level of engagement and bringing custom coders together has been wonderful and worth every late night edit and weekend recording.
Whether it's product features, smart business strategies, or custom coder interviews, we are encouraged to continue to bring great content. That's why we're going to show you how you can help us just a little bit more by sponsoring the show for as little as $1, $5, or $10 per month.
Just go to rosscoat.com page and look for the Become a Patreon button in the upper right-hand corner of the page. Once you're there, you can scroll to learn more about our goals and mission, grow our community by bringing you new episodes and news each week.
With every sponsor level, you get something for yourself, too, to guarantee your success as a powder coater. We are so thankful for you and enjoying the content we bring you each week, and hope you show your support by becoming a sponsor. And level up your powder coater game.
Amen. You know, it is. And you know, it's really about workflow, and then, you know, rework sometimes can really bugger up your powder coating game, in the sense that if something didn't come out as well out of the oven, you've got to go back and start from, ground zero, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things, for instance, you know, some rims are painted. Not everything is powder coated these days, particularly like the Euro rims, BMWs, Mercedes and stuff. And I don't know if you can answer this question. So if you can't, you can't. But is there a difference that you've noticed with the B17e product in terms of the length of time for these, 7-layer finishes on these exotic rims or Euro rims? It is, as we all know, if we're using B17 now, they do take a little longer to strip than other type of painted rims, aftermarket rims that are on the market now. Do you know an estimated time, or can you talk about times on stripping and stuff like that?
Yes, and it varies, of course, depending on the wheel, depending on the density of the paint, the powder, whatever, and the stubbornness of that. But I have to say, let me see, I'm going to do my little cheat sheet here, because I've gotten a report from some of the people that have stripped, and they said that some of those 3-layer and 3-layer and 2-layer silver coat, they'll take 3.5 to 4 hours. A Porsche Audi epoxy took 4 hours at 190.
Yeah, and that's for rims. If you've got an overpack drum and you're just can only do one rim at a time, I mean, it's basically a half a day's work, right? Mm-hmm. So right. That seems fair enough. I mean, that's a terrific answer, because you're not losing anything by switching out of B17 and into this, this newer this E product.
Yeah, and
that's positive.
Yeah, and the EcoStrip, there are some people that have no choice, that are going to have to, depending on where they live in the country, just right. due to city and county and state regulations. And I'm really proud to say that it is a great alternative, and it works really well. And we have financing available for our customers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. We have independent financing companies that'll come in. And if they want to set up a payment plan in advance with us, we can talk about that as well. So there are many options to keep the venture going.
I'm sold already, because had a good friend, Jimmy O'Malley. Shout out to Jimmy. He's in Facebook jail right now, but he got just a little bit down the glove, unfortunately. Oh. So, I mean, he showed pictures of his arms, and, you can't take those things off fast enough to get the water on them. And then that silver cream, or I have it right here.
The calcium gluconate cream?
Yes. Which you can actually
That does a great job stopping the acid burn.
Yeah. And that's one other thing I want to say too, because it's just kind of a little tip that I came up with, because I ended up, I think I said this in episode 9, but I'll say it again. It wasn't from stripper, but I burned myself pouring coffee. and
Mhm.
the coffee was like really hot, and I burned, I had like 2nd-degree burns on my hand, and of course ended up at the doctor's office right away that morning. And the doctors have like the good stuff, right?
They do.
So the higher percent of
Mhm.
silver and everything. So just my tip is that go to your doctor, call your doctor, make an appointment, or just do a telemed kind of, and just explain to them that, you don't have to make an insurance claim or anything, but you're just being preventative, and ask for a prescription of that really good, expensive cream as a preventative measure in case it happens to you. You don't have to get into detail about too much about what you're doing or how you're, because you don't want to give it all away to your doctor, but just let them know that you are working around chemicals, and that you have been burned by it before, and that you'd like to have some cream on hand in case, of emergency. And I'm sure you could get a prescription for it, just to have it on hand as a preventative measure. But
Right.
that's just
And-
my tip for the day,
And that's a good tip. And we have calcium gluconate here at Benco, and we can send you some too if you want to have some on hand. Now,
Yeah.
keep in mind the B17, you'll if it gets on your skin, you'll have acid burns. It will burn you. But the EcoStrip product, the heated product, the only burn that you'll get from that is heat, because it's at 180,
Right.
200 degrees.
Right.
But as far as the chemical is concerned, there's no acid, so it will not burn you the way B17 will.
And what about, does the B17, as it heats up, or the E product, does it have a different smell than the regular methylene chloride?
What you smell in B17 are the acids primarily.
Okay.
The methylene chloride doesn't have a horrible smell. But the acids do. They don't smell pretty. The EcoStrip does have an odor to it. We do add a odor reducer or odor masking
Mhm.
type. But as far as the odor in your shop, the only time you're going to smell it is when the top of your tank is open. When
Okay.
you pull your tank down and you latch it, and it has the big thick rubber seal around the outside, you won't smell it very much at all.
Okay. I wanted to share my screen again and just kind of watch the video. This is the one that's on your website, the video of the guy, and I believe he is using the B17 EcoStrip. Can you
Yes, he is.
see my screen there?
Yes. And I
Okay,
think
so-
he was stripping a Dodge Durango, and he said it took a little bit under 2 hours.
Okay. Just under 2 hours, he said.
Just under 2 hours is what he
Yeah.
says in the video, and it's he'll begin rinsing it. It's an easy rinse. It comes
Oh, it's
out
an
really
Audi.
clean.
Yeah, so that's
Uh-huh.
that Euro.
Now wait till he turns it to the side, and you'll see how clean it comes out. There's no oily residue, nothing.
Mhm.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, it really works nicely.
And it helps to have that power washer, huh?
Pressure washer helps.
Yeah.
We are designing some functions in the rinse table that will have some jets.
Yeah, and he's not even wearing like gloves or anything. That's awesome. I mean, just to not even have to put on gloves. It's just one more.
Right. Like I
kind
said, the
of-
only thing that'll hurt you is the heat of it.
Right.
Hey, Powder Coating Nation, Kim Scott here. It's time to grow your business with us. The Powder Coating Near Me directory can get your powder coating shop the real exposure it needs to succeed when you list your job shop today. Join a list of top custom coaters who've listed their credentials to be discovered by the customers who are searching for powder coating every day. Head over to powdercoatingnearme.com, click Add a Coating Shop, and start creating your very own page for free. Yes, free. You can add your logo, name, address, phone number, map listing, social media links, photos, video, and more. When you submit your listing, we'll get notified and approve you right away. Now now you can add all the categories you specialize in, and even add your own tags. Get the SEO and valuable backlinks your company needs for authority and getting ranked. You can even use the link you create and share it to your favorite social media profiles to build legitimacy as a custom coder. What are you waiting for? Become part of the largest consumer search directory in powder coating in the world, all for free. Find and click the link in this podcast or go to powdercoatingnearme.com to get started growing your brand today.
Let's talk about these bomber girls, Valerie. One of them kind of looks like you.
No. No. We started out with the bomber girl for the eco strip, and I think she's delightful. It's kind of honoring the art of that era.
Yeah.
And we don't want people to look at it anything other than the art. It's cool. So we're making stickers for this, and actually we're going to be planning a name our bomber girl contest.
Oh, I love it.
So that'll be coming up as well. I have some t-shirts right now with Eco Strip Lady on it, a real big image on the back, and it says the mother of all eco strippers. And then now we're introducing our B17 girl. She's new. The artist, if you go back one notch on that Instagram, you can meet our artist, Jeff. He is the person that designed these girls. He's a very interesting person. His real job, other than drawing our bomber girls, is he is a tattoo artist for women that have had mastectomies.
Really? Wow.
Yes. And so he helps a lot of people feel like they've been put back together.
Aw,
But
that's awesome.
delightful individual and a phenomenal artist. So we'll have more people coming out. We'll have more girls for our wood stripping and everything else. And it'll all be this wonderful flavor of art.
I love it. I love how this is phenomenal, just to be able to brand it like this in this way, and honor your brand, honor some history, and get customers involved in loving B17 and Benco even more.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great, of course, I shared with you earlier my own story about my mom, and she actually was the first woman at North American to win an award for an invention. And she won $1,500, which if you equate that with inflation, that was probably enough for a down payment on a house.
Yes.
And they made a big thing with it. She got to meet the CEO, and basically her invention was made out of a coffee can lid.
What was it used for?
So basically the B-52 bombers because they were dropping bombs, they were actually heavily, they were empty inside, but they had a lot of wires. They were the most wired up aircraft at that time. That's what made them so different. And part of it was just all automation with wires and triggers and electronics and stuff. And they had a lot of women working on there. I don't know if that was a reason for the invention, but working with wires anywhere, they get tangled up really easily. And different wires had to go down different parts of the belly of the plane or along the walls and stuff. And it was easy to tangle these wires. And a lot of these wires, it was like many, many wires all together in one. And what she told me, I never saw the invention. There is a picture of it with her, but I never saw it. But the way she described it to me was that it was a dial type device that had basically different size holes. And each hole you could thread the wires through and keep it all together so that the wires didn't get tangled going down the planes, and so that on the other end of the plane where you had to connect it, it would be all together, right? It would, you'd be able to, the electrician then could kind of know where everything is. I guess I don't know if tape just wasn't used or there wasn't any other kind of tie. I'm not sure what the situation was or the problem was, but whatever it was so extraordinary and game changing. Of course, other than the $1,500 reward that was given out, it was like they owned, I guess, her device or whatever. So who knows how much millions they made, but she actually went on to work on the Apollo mission and continue to work for, after the war. She worked for North American, which was a big, huge contractor for NASA. So anyways, very proud of my mom.
Yeah, I remember that. That's fantastic.
So let's talk about trucking for a minute. I know you were having some issues with it, right?
Yes, I think the whole world is having issues with trucking and shipping. Not only is it difficult for us to get our finished product on trucks, to our customers, it's difficult to get our raw materials on trucks to come to us because there's such a demand and there aren't enough truckers. And so we usually try to turn things around really quickly, but there's been a lot of lead time issues lately. And we're facing that challenge and overcoming that challenge as best we can. We do have, at one point in time, we had 4 truck drivers for Benco that went out throughout the United States. But over time, the trucking industry has changed so much, we're down to 1 driver. 1 driver to deliver product, and then I have 1 driver that's dedicated to getting raw materials on tankers. So with that, we're managing it as well as possible.
It's just kind of part of what it is right now. And, it just kind of just lets everyone know to consider lead times in everything, powder ordering, ordering chemicals and products from you. You just have to, it's just kind of that you need to get your head around or understand how we are today.
I'm sure you're seeing it as well.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, on an island, everything has always been about shipping, right? I'm sure people are very well aware of that for me and here at the shop and stuff like that. But do you have any, I mean, we've got the Roscoe, everybody hears the video or the soundbite commercial that you have on our show. At the end of every one, we say, save 10% when you mention Roscoe.
Yes.
Do you have any other products or promotions? What can they get with that Roscoe coupon code?
Well, the coupon code was originally for 10%. And I think that we're going to mix it up a little bit, and if they mention Roscoe, we'll surprise them with a shirt or a refrigerator magnet of one of our bomber girls or a sticker or something like that. So they can be surprised.
Yeah. And we like that little mini speaker.
Oh, that's right. The mini speakers. All right. Those were a big hit at Christmas time.
Put an extra order in there for Ross. He loves his mini speaker.
All right. We'll do that.
He can't even believe how small this thing is, like the size of like the bottom of a coffee cup. And it gives off like incredible.
Yeah, great sound.
Yeah, it gives off great sound.
Really good quality.
Yes. Maybe we can go in on a promo product or something with that next year. But anyways, go follow Benco Sales on Instagram. Where else? Your bencosales.com.
Oh, yeah, our website is bencosales.com. We have Instagram and a Facebook. I have a new social media person that's joined us.
Yes.
And so please expect more interesting and more quantity of posts and things like that. She's pretty good about getting back to people when they ask questions or, respond to an ad or a clip. So what is it called? A post or a story at Disney. I'm dating myself. So she's pretty good about getting back to them, and just bear with us as we grow. We're doing our best to take care of all of our customers.
That's awesome. Well, it's been so great to have you today. you know, if you have any questions about Benco or ever, put it in the comments in the YouTube channel or on the podcast page, and we'll make sure that if it's not been covered today in today's video, we'll make sure that Valeri gets those questions, and she'll, you know, can respond to them, or we'll help her respond to them for you. So have a great day. Hope you have a productive powder coating week, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.
And thank you.